So I just start by saying hello and welcome to everybody, and thank you so much for attending today, because I know with some people it's quite early or it can be quite late. So great to see everybody here. I'm sure a few more people will be joining on the way, but we'll just get started. I just wanted to say welcome to our second seminar in the ALM virtual seminar series for the 21-22 series. And we're delighted that this is a slightly different one in that we're showing you some takeaways from the CERME12. For those of you that aren't sure, CERME12 is a conference for the European Society for Research in Maths Education. And I think ALM makes, and the people who've attended the conference this week have made an important contribution. Because I looked for we were in the working group called Adults Mathematics Education, and there is only one group out of 27 groups in this conference that was actually dealing with mathematics, adults learning mathematics. So I think that shows you how important the contribution that we're making has, and how it's important it is for us to spread the word and share our understandings. The vision of CERME is to explore research from across Europe, going beyond the local, sharing expertise and identifying key areas of interest and concern. And I think you'll see from the contributions that you'll see today, the AME group that was at the working group and ALM address those issues and more besides. Kees Hoogland has led this whole series of preparation in CERME12 for the working group, and I want to hand over to Kees now to let him explain what we've been doing and then introduce our takeaways. So thank you, and can I just take this opportunity to thank Kees for all this hard work, because it is no mean feat to get together the working group, which has lasted for 4 days, never mind all of the contributions that we're now putting together. So thank you, Kees. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Beth. And we come back to this slide to also to do the at the end of the seminar to see what's coming up is still to come. Thank you that you put it to me, but the group that actually has organized this is the chair and the co-chairs, and the working group team was Beth, Fiona, Gabriel, and me, from nice spreading across Europe. And we have been in the preparation of CERME. It takes more than a year to have to call for presentations, etc., etc. Short idea, the first time we had a group Adults Mathematics Education was at CERME11 in Utrecht in 2019. It is a biannual conference every 2 years. So the next one was planned in February 21, but it was postponed, and there was only a kind of prologue conference. And now in February 22, everyone hoped to be in Bolzano in Italy, but it changed to online a few weeks ago. We hope that in the next CERMEs we still can have a contribution, but we'll see how that works out with all the changing dates in the years and the conferences. But this year, February 22, was very fruitful and very interesting to have a very good discussions on all kinds of topics. For this group here, I don't think it is necessary to say a lot about this. There is an emerging field of adult mathematics education. A lot of themes are going on. We have strong networks now already existing for over 30 years to support each other and to bring the field further. CERME is a nice conference because it is very inclusive and supportive. And in an earlier conference, we gathered all the kind of themes around adult mathematics education, and we found all kinds of connections and combinations. And the interesting thing when we look back at this, I think the contributions of the last week almost covers every angle that is shown here. There's things on financial literacy, there is things on prison context, there is things on IT use, on vulnerable people, there's a PIAC presentation, there's a presentation on the Common European Numeracy Framework. So it was a very diverse input this week, and we hope to share this with you. These were the 12 contributors in this conference, and we had quite some sessions to discuss them at length, so that was very nice. And what we do for this seminar, you understand, we cannot pay full credit to all the work that has gone into these papers in just 1 hour. So what we basically will do, we show you 6 short video clips of the first 6 papers. We push them to the authors to do that in 1.5 minutes. So you get an idea about the key message of the paper and some ideas how to go on with it. And after 6 clips, you have the opportunity to ask questions, have remarks, maybe ask an author for some more elaboration. And then we do another 6, and we do the same. And then probably in an hour, you get a kind of an overview. That's, of course, very dense. So what we will do is those video clips and the PowerPoint presentations, we also will put that on the website. So for later reference, if you see something interesting and you think I want to know more, then you can go to the presentation. The papers, of course, are not yet open access because they will go to the proceedings of the CERME conference. I hope that is clear. And what we are doing now is quite exciting, because those video clips, I think the last one was just finished maybe 20 minutes ago. So I'm not quite sure if they are all the best video clips you can imagine, but we just start with them and see how they work out. So, okay, there it comes. The first one, Jenny Stacey.
Hello, paper 331, Jennifer Mary Stacey. The paper title was Changing Perceptions Among Adult Learners who are 19 plus in further education studying GCSE mathematics, the methodology and data analysis, the importance of the pilot study. As part of a part-time doctorate in education at an English university, I was required to complete a pilot study prior to the main data collection. This can feel unproductive, and postgraduate researchers, including myself, can be impatient with this process. In this paper, I show the value of the pilot study from both methodological and data analysis viewpoints, how much I learnt from it, and how it benefited the main study. This is an under-researched group of learners, as most research on learners' perceptions of mathematics has been conducted with school-aged 16 to 18-year-olds in FE or higher education students. There is little understanding of how different countries and universities organise both full and part-time doctoral education. The completion of a pilot study led to a significant amount of learning, which will both benefit the main study in both practical and theoretical ways, including in the thesis and the viva. While testing small amounts of data in graphical form for the purposes of assessing the viability of those forms of presentation is acceptable, it is important not to read anything into the outcomes, but to leave that to the larger data sets of the main study.
Hello everyone. This paper came about because I'm working with a small social enterprise in South London. We're working on an Erasmus Plus funded project called Money Matters, which is aimed at developing resources and activities to help disadvantaged families utilising a family learning approach. Hence, we're developing comics, escape rooms and apps in order to support this work. During the development of this project, we've been exploring the idea of functional literacy, financial literacy. And obviously this entails us exploring issues around literacy, numeracy, but also digital skills, the emotional aspects of money, and all this while considering utilising this family learning pedagogic approach. The paper starts to discuss briefly the notion of financial vulnerability. It's a global issue, but we consider it on an individual basis, a community basis, and an economic systems-wide basis. Further research obviously needs to be done into this notion of financial vulnerability, especially exploring ways of empowering more people who are financially stressed to survive in these very complex financial systems we find ourselves living in. And while doing this, it would be really interesting to explore different ways of teaching those numeracy skills which are within those financial decision-making skills needed. The project we're doing is due to end in October 2022, and we're currently developing and trialling the resources. If you're interested to find out more, or you're doing a project in a similar vein, please do contact me. Those are my details there. Thank you. Bye.
Our contribution is a literature review in the field of adult learning mathematics. The objective of this paper is to review what research has been carried out during the last 20 years in the field of ALM, in order to identify what are the topics that have been researched and where are the gaps that would open new lines of research for the future in the field of adult learning mathematics. The main findings suggest that the articles about health and care are the most common and highly cited in the articles, followed by the studies about everyday life. The most common focus in terms of higher order skills are processing information, critical thinking, and problem solving. Regarding these positions, the vast majority of the studies focus on self-confidence. So, as for the points for consideration in future research based on the discussion, I just want to highlight 4 different contributions. This literature review reveals that there is a lack of visibility of the contributions in our research field, which may be well known within our own community of practice, but relatively unknown out of it. This little attention to our research effort suggests that we probably need to encourage further dissemination or visibility for our contributions. And this discussion is very relevant in the sense that making our research more visible also increases the chances to reach other targets, such as policymakers. This could be a way to fit into policy and practice. We also need to be careful with what we consider as part of our research domain. For instance, what does it mean numeracy? Because numeracy, as you know, is a multifaceted concept that is still being under discussion. Thank you very much, and looking forward to keep working with all of you. Thanks.
I welcome this opportunity at CERME12 to present a challenging proposal that adult numeracy education research should be considered a new research paradigm. Over a period of 60 years, numeracy and being numerate have been the focus of research and debate. At the same time, adult numeracy practice has developed appropriate strategies and techniques. Using Kuhn's conceptual approach of a paradigm change, I propose that adult numeracy education is fully recognized as a new field of research. Whilst being well received, there were serious questions about the proposal. Kuhn's concept of the paradigm change has always been controversial and remains so. I welcome this discussion continuing. I have focused on debates around the meaning of adult numeracy, but I recognise that similar debates take place around terms like mathematical literacy. The language or lexicon, in Kuhn's terms, that we use will be debated. My hope is we take control of what we mean by adults learning mathematics.
This paper is entitled A Comparison of the Problem-Solving and Procedural Skills of Those in Adult Mathematics Education in Ireland, and the central message and finding in the paper is that those in adult math education have significantly weaker problem-solving skills when compared to procedural skills. And this finding aligns with the trend of beginning undergraduate students in Ireland. However, the same investment or interest in improving provision for those in adult maths education doesn't seem to be present. The findings are very much misaligned with one of the key recommendations of the Adult Numeracy Assessment and Development Policy, which calls for investment in the development of national capacities to measure and improve adult numeracy. So what did I learn from the discussions in the CERME conference? Well, firstly, to add more detail on the background demographics of both groups of students examined in the study. Also to detail what is considered a high, medium or low score on the diagnostic test that was used to measure these skill sets. The authors used a crude measure for marking both procedural and problem solving skills, which was just marking them right, wrong. And this needs to be changed as there's more information processing required in the problem solving questions. So that will be looked at for future research. And finally, consideration should be and will be given to the combination of maths and IT skills when examining problem solving skills.
Our paper was entitled Numeracy Meets Professional Development and Networking for Adult Numeracy Practitioners. The central message of the paper was to respond to research which has highlighted an unmet demand for professional development for adult numeracy practitioners in Ireland. These practitioners often work alone, are often part-time workers, and don't have any opportunities to network or share best practice with colleagues. So based on the TeachMeet model, this research aims to establish a series of online numeracy meets for adult numeracy practitioners, where they can share best practice, resources and personal insights. So we currently have proposed a series of 6 online numeracy meets, which will begin in February 2022. Prior to beginning the numeracy meets, we're currently carrying out a needs analysis to find out exactly what the needs of the numeracy tutors are. So points for further consideration is how effective will the numeracy meet model be in addressing the needs of adult numeracy practitioners. So to address this point, we will be evaluating the model. Another important point based on that will be how sustainable will the model be in the long term. So we have a series of 6 numeracy meets set up, but can that be sustained into the long term and, you know, a meaningful community of practice for practitioners? And thirdly, could it be adopted for use in other countries?
Paper title ALM Mathematics in Prison. Mathematics in Prison topic group is an initiative developed by Adults Learning Maths. Its aim is to link practitioners and researchers interested in the field of mathematics education in prisons and the secure estate from different parts of the world. The paper outlines the activities of the group to date and explores ideas for the future. Points for consideration. Point 1. The topic group welcomes educators, researchers and policymakers interested in this field of mathematics education and recognises the similarities in the sector across different cultures. Point 2. We are interested in training and continuing professional development opportunities for teachers in this sector. Point 3. Mathematics is a gateway subject for further education. We wish to learn about its role in prison education, for example, the rationale, assessment policies, certification, teaching strategies, information technology, vocabulary, teaching materials across different countries. Point 4. We look forward to a growth in the existing pool of research with these hard-to-reach, non-traditional students.
My title is Democracy and Mathematics Instruction for Adults, Philosophical Perspectives. My starting point is that relations between democracy and math education has been at the research agenda in Denmark since the 70s. At the present situation, I suggest to highlight 4 types of relations. I wish us to teach how algorithms are used in formal representational democracy outside school, and I want us to focus on access to relevant math and numeracy competence as democratic rights for all. I also want us to teach how mathematical modeling and arguing are used in lived participatory democracy, and I also want us to support development of democratic learning processes in adults' mathematics and numeracy instruction. 3 scholars can help us. Grundtvig can help us with number 1, 2, 3, and Rosa and Habermas can help us with number 4.
The goal of this study was to examine the relationship between psychosocial factors, demographics, the level of mathematics chosen and progression for access students at Technological University Dublin. The psychosocial factors studied were personality, general self-efficacy, belief in mathematics ability, and motivation. Results showed that fundamental mathematics students had significantly higher scores for motivation and for the personality trait of neuroticism. However, they had significantly lower scores for self-efficacy and for belief in their mathematics ability. Advanced mathematics students, on the other hand, had significantly higher scores for general self-efficacy, belief in mathematics ability, and intrinsic motivation to know. Female students were significantly less likely to study advanced mathematics than males, and non-Irish nationals who had higher general self-efficacy and higher belief in mathematics ability were less likely to progress to higher education than their peers. The discussion focused on the need for further in-depth study of student intrinsic and extrinsic motivations on the Access programme. Also, given that student self-efficacy can change over time, further research is needed to see if this occurred for Access students. Non-Irish nationals had higher general self-efficacy and belief in mathematics ability scores but lower progression. This warrants further investigation. Also, research is required to encourage more female Access students into advanced mathematics and into STEM subjects in general.
The central message of the paper is that we live in a number-driven society and that we have to make decisions to deal with all kinds of numeracy situations all day long. And if you realize that, you can look at those manifestations in which cognitive processes are involved in that. We think that calls for a shift in focus from mastering the execution of calculations with pen and paper to a much more multifaceted interpretation of numeracy and definition of numeracy, where not only knowledge and skills are involved, but also the context, the higher order skills, and the dispositions. This framework is now ready for publishing, and we will disseminate it to other countries as a reference framework. We will connect it with other frameworks like PIAC and the European Qualification Framework. And we are happy to announce that there is a follow-up project in the years 22, 23 and 24, numeracy in practice, with 11 European countries, and we'll keep you posted on the developments on that.
Having an adequate numeracy level determines the success of individuals' participation in their roles as citizens and professionals. There is a need to determine whether there is a good match between the possessed skills and required skills in numeracy. We study this in 5 countries. The percentage of overskilled is 14%. Being overskilled is more likely for males, younger age groups, and non-migrants. Being overskilled is positively associated with having a higher education, using numeracy skills often at work, and having studied science, math, and engineering compared with other areas of study. Further study into the causes of skills mismatch are needed. For example, people with a certain educational background may be in jobs where they use the numeracy skills very frequently and yet are overskilled, meaning that the numeracy proficiency is higher than required. Why is this the case, and shouldn't these skills be put to better use? A second point for further consideration is skills mismatch always a problem? For some people, it might be a conscious choice. One might think of having a job that is below one's qualification is simply because one is happier in that job.
Hello everyone. My topic deals with professional mathematical knowledge of vocation school teachers with a focus on economics. Vocation school teachers with a focus on economics without mathematics as a subject do not receive any mathematical training in their studies. Also, they use, among other things, the percentage calculation in business lessons. In a pilot study, an instrument was validated to record whether the mathematical model of compound interest is recognized and successfully applied in different situations. You should be able to master the content when solving tasks yourself, assessing and correcting student solutions, and setting arithmetic problems yourself. The results showed that even student teachers with mathematics as a subject have difficulties with it. A continuing question is, what differences do vocational school teachers with a focus of economics have in their mental models of percentage calculation, and how can this be explained?
Yes.
So maybe I could just reinforce the fact that we'll be putting these all these small videos hopefully on the YouTube website, on the ALM website as well, so that people can access them again if they want to. I think there's a huge number of ideas that have been shared there in a very small space of time. So I think with some things they might need to be revisited. But I think hopefully this seminar has just given you that brief taste, which is what we wanted to do, of the breadth of the work that's gone on and the importance of that sharing that's happened even this week, even virtually, through the CERME conference. I want to thank everybody very much. I want to thank the whole group for everything they've done today. Thank Case for all the work he's put into this and putting this idea together as well, which I think has been really interesting and useful. And I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon and evening, and enjoy and have enjoyed the opportunity to make contact with ALM again in this time. And I look forward to seeing you in March.